Well, let's talk about what's really become a forgotten match in a pretty legendary feud. It's the Undertaker and Mankind, and here we're going to have Paul Bearer in a cage hung above the ring, which is like old school. I guess the first time I remember seeing this is with J.J. Dillon, but I think it was commonly referred to as a shark cage. When do you first remember seeing managers in cages above rings?
Gary Hart in Houston, Texas, when it was a rat cage, actually, is what we referred to it as. But it was, I remember, man.
Explain the rat cage. Help me understand the terminology here.
Well, it was a cage. It was a cage because Gary Hart was in it. We called it a rat cage.
Okay.
But it wasn't big enough that he could stand in it. So you'd put him in it and he would sit in it with his feet dangling through the bars.
Gary Hart, by the way, very tall human being.
Yes.
Yes.
And I just always remember, man, we would hoist it up and there was a pulley way up through the drop ceiling at the top of the Coliseum. So you don't even know what the hell this thing's rigged on. But if you look up at the ceiling, you see like, what are they called in the drop ceiling? What are those little squares called?
Ceiling tiles?
Okay, the ceiling tiles. They're missing all over the top of the building and shit. And this rope just disappears into the abyss up there, wrapped around something, and then the pulley is there. And you get about 5 or 6 big guys, and they pull Gary Hart up and hoist him up. And then when he gets up to the right position, just tie him off on the top ring post. And that's the science of it. But it was to keep managers out, and it was effective. But, once you've seen the finish that has been overused 9 million times of the manager dropping the gimmick down to whoever his guy is, and the babyface getting it and using it, and so the cage was effective. You've kind of seen it.
Yeah.
The best use of the cage is we did it with Jerry Lawler, and Lawler was up in the cage, and Lawler had picked his nose to get it to bleed, and got a scab. And then when Lawler got up, goes, no, I'm afraid of heights. Lawler picked the scab, and his nose started to bleed. Because when certain people, when they get high and they get in the, certain height, their nose will bleed. And it was just ingenious that Lawler did that. And then there was a time that we put Jeff Jarrett in a cage, and we pulled Jeff Jarrett up to the top of the roof and just left him up there for a couple of matches. And you could hear and we kept recording. And Jeff was screaming so loud that we had to finally take him down because his audio was screwing up the matches we were trying to tape. Bruce Prichard, I know you're involved. Get Bruce out. And he just, yeah. So we let him down.
The good old days.
The good old days.
So listen, this feud with the Undertaker, man, I mean, the Undertaker and Mankind have done it all, right? So they had a Boiler Room brawl match at SummerSlam. They had a Buried Alive match. I mean, once we've beat each other all over and under the building, and then we literally buried a guy. Now we're just going to have a regular wrestling match, but it's almost like the rebirth of the Undertaker. So he's got a totally new look. He comes down, like he drops down from the ceiling, and he's got like bat wings and a new haircut and the teardrop tattoos. I guess he killed a guy or two. The match is good. Meltzer would even say it made great psychological sense, but he did say it was nowhere near the level that the previous matches had been. But he sums it up like this: after doing Boiler Room matches and Buried Alive matches where the Undertaker was all but killed, it's hard to put 2 guys in a regular match and get the people jazzed about it. I mean, that's probably a fair criticism, right? We're probably working backwards. Maybe we should have started with this and worked our way up to a Buried Alive. I mean, but I guess he's reborn. I don't know. Talk me through this.
He descended.
Yes.
From the heavens above.
He did.
Yeah, this was what I refer to as Pirate Taker.
Yes. He hated that, I bet.
Oh, he hated. Oh my God, he hated it. Yeah, between Wendy and Pirate Taker, and I yeah, Pirate Taker. He's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, arr, and he would get so mad. But yeah, again, it was, who does he? He's got to come back and get revenge, and you've got to, short of doing a decapitation match, you kind of almost have to start from the beginning all over again with Taker at this point. So I thought it worked. I don't think that Taker and Mick could have a bad match.
Yeah, no, these guys, I mean, even when it's not great, it's good. And as you would imagine, Mankind comes back using a foreign object, but Undertaker's going to hit the tombstone. That's it. Bear gets lowered into the ring. Of course, per the pre-match stipulation, if Undertaker wins, he gets 5 minutes alone with the man who betrayed him this past summer. And before Undertaker can do anything to him, the Executioner nails him from behind. So Taker comes back and runs Executioner off. Meltzer didn't really love that, called it a weak sequence. We know it's going to set up the Undertaker and the Executioner in December. And unfortunately, Terry Gordy is, his days are numbered here in the WWF, but let's talk about the look, because that's really what people remember most about this exchange and match. It's just the Pirate Taker, as you called him. Is this just creative services and Mr. Calloway being a good sport and saying, okay, I'll try it? Or do you remember him having some influence on the idea, and then in execution, he was just like, I was wrong. This sucked.
Undertaker had a lot of influence in it and worked with people and to try and come up with the different looks. So he had a lot of input on it.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today. And hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.